Top stories tonight. Vice President Kashim Shettima visits as death toll from Borno suicide attack rises to 32. Nigeria Customs intercept 844 rifles, rounds of ammunition. Court dismisses Nnamdi Kanu's 1 billion naira suit against the Nigerian government. Mauritania's incumbent Ghazouani wins re-election with 56.12% of vote. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Felicity Ezewike. Our coverage tonight begins in Borno State, northern Nigeria, where the country's Vice President Kashim Shettima says the death toll from the multiple suicide bomb attacks in the northeastern Nigerian town of Woza over the weekend has risen to 32. Shettima made this known after visiting the state specialist hospital in Maiduguri, where some of the wounded were being treated. News Center's Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
The pain of the multiple Goza bomb explosions still lingers as patients struggle to survive the brunt of the heinous act. The attack, which resulted in significant casualties, has left the Goza community in mourning. Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima is here at the State Specialist Hospital Maiduguri with other government functionaries to offer comfort and support to the victims.
As Daily Giwa said, one life lost in cold blood is as gruesome as millions lost in a pogrom. Our hearts goes out to the victims. So far, we have recorded 32 deaths. 42 were brought in from Goza. About 14 have been discharged. About 26 are currently receiving attention. And I want to use this forum to most sincerely register our profound gratitude to the Borno State government, to National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and the State Emergency Management Agency and ICRC for rising up to the challenges of the times and giving their best in terms of support.
During his visit, the Vice President Shettima interacted with the patients and medical staff, pledging enhanced support for those affected.
The House of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is with the victims, and he specifically instructed us to come and offer our condolences and commiserations to the victims of this incident. We are here with the Director General of NEMA, with the Minister of Agriculture, with the Minister of Transportation, and of course, the Chief Whip of the Senate is a son of the soil from Goza, so he was here since yesterday. And the acting governor had been working round the clock to provide succor and support to the victims.
The Vice President emphasized the government's commitment to improving security in Borno State and supporting communities devastated by terrorist activities. Families in Goza are still under curfew as they patiently await unfolding development to regain their means of survival. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
We will be speaking with a political security analyst, Kachan Onuju, on the latest from Borno State. But in the meantime, let's tell you that the Nigerian Customs Service seized a significant cache of arms and ammunition at the Port Harcourt Area 2 Command in One. The Controller General Adewale Adeniyi announced on Monday that, acting on intelligence, customs officers inspected a suspicious 40-foot container from Turkey on June 21, 2024, discovering 844 rifles and 112,500 rounds of live ammunition hidden among doors, furniture, plumbing fittings, and leather bags valued at 4.17 billion naira. 3 suspects were detained and an investigation is underway. Additionally, on June 29, 8 40-foot containers with drugs and used clothes valued at 13.92 billion naira were intercepted. Adeniyi praised the robust risk management system and collaboration with intelligence communities. The arms will be handed over to the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons for further investigations. To discuss this, we're joined by political and security analyst Edo and Ondo. Kat, it's good to have you on the news. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, let's begin with what worries you the most about these latest brazen attacks in Borno?
Oh, well, I will say we simply have to watch to be sure about the pattern. For a very long time, these attacks were arrested. We noticed under the Buhari presidency, the attacks were actually calmed. And now that we're seeing them come back again, it will be in a very coordinated fashion. I think we need to be calm to watch if they have come back again, because I know those that made it possible for these things to be calm during the Buhari presidency may have come back again against the Tinubu presidency due to what we see to be disagreements politically in the ruling party, which is the APC. So what is it that had stopped it during the days of Buhari presidency that had now brought it back in a coordinated form, as we saw? Because not only were they bombed at the wedding ceremony, there was also the coordination that saw the bombing go off at the hospital and also bombing go off at the burial site. So this is a coordinated attack. Angoza, a town with a very strong amount of police people, because we know the police college is there, and is a very, very strong security outpost. And we believe that this may be a return of the previous violence that we had, that were kind of arrested during the Buhari presidency, but seem to now want to make a comeback under the Tinubu's presidency. I think we should not rush to any conclusion. Let us just watch to see what's going on. No doubt it is the Boko Haram.
All right. The Vice President has paid a condolence visit to the victims and family. What, in your view, is the import of these visits, considering we've had other suicide bombing cases, but this particular visit to Goza seems to have some significance?
Oh, well, it shows a government's quick response to this kind of thing. We've known that we've had some quality of violence before now, and we were complaining that the government did not seem to respond very fast. I do commend them for the very quick response that we have seen this time around. And we do pray it should continue. Not just the quick response in the case of the aftermath, but let that be also a quick response in terms of security people actually trying to plug the holes and going to arrest these people, because we know this kind of activities have been arrested across the borders in Cameroon and also in Niger and Chad. We should stop it in Nigeria. It's lasted long enough for us to know where these people are. It's lasted long enough for us to know who they are. If the government was able to stop these issues during the Buhari presidency, the government should also be able to stop it now under the Tinubu presidency. I do not want to believe it is as a consequence of the internal crisis in the APC, in which we've seen a lot of the supporters of the APC, but are no more supporting the Tinubu presidency.
So are you alluding, Kat, if I get you right, are you alluding that this might be more connected to politics than actual terrorism like we used to know?
Well, the original intentions of the terrorism was linked to politics. And that was why during the Buhari days, those who were happy that Buhari is in president, they kind of had this arrested. Why are we coming back to it now when Tinubu seems to be having issues with a lot of these party men from the northwest and also the far northeast? So That's why you cannot divulge this from being linked to politics. But that's why I'm saying, let's not rush to a full conclusion. Let's watch to see if this is a one-off or it is a beginning of a return to the old bad days.
Okay, quickly, I have two more questions for you, and we have to fit it in, even though we're time pressed. First off, besides this empathetic display by the federal government, which a lot of persons have commended, seeing that the vice president went there physically, what other actions do you expect to see in the coming days to show maybe some further commitment to the fight against terrorism?
Well, Tinubu needs to actually show that he can fight these people. Right now, he has enough intelligence to know who are the masterminds of the other side of midnight in the ruling alliance. If there are people that are not happy with him, which we know who they are, and they still have to go back to doing this. Don't forget, this is not the first time we've seen this terrorism in Kaduna State, where young children were arrested and they were taken to Dangobe in Katsina and they were brought back when he queried why this should continue. Now they've gone back now to as far as Goza, which is the northern part of Borno State, and this is a coordinated attack. I think the security services should go back to work. All right,
quickly, we're almost out of time for this conversation. Away from Borno, but still connected to security, we reported earlier that the customs today displayed over 100,000 rounds of live ammunition in Port Harcourt, imported from Turkey. What does this large number mean for the country's fight against insecurity?
Those weapons are not weapons of insecurity. Those are weapons that are normally sold. Those are pump-action guns, which are normally licensed ones. Those are not the type used by those involved in insecurity. So it doesn't really make sense that we start to commenting about that or start linking that to the issues of insecurity. If you look at the weapons, those are pump-actions, and those pump-actions are the regular types that the police gives licenses for that are sold. If they do not show us what it is, I do not believe there's any need to link the pump actions to the issues of insecurity. No, it is simply gun runners who sell guns in the civil markets.
All right, Catch, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you, as always, for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me.
Staying with security matters, the Nigerian Air Force has debunked the information in circulation that a helicopter belonging to it crashed in the Igabi Council area of Kaduna State. NAF spokesman, Air Vice Marshal Edward Gabquet, who made this known in a statement, also warned against the spread of fake news and unconfirmed information. Recall that residents of the area claimed to have witnessed the pilot emerging from the wreckage after the crash. According to Gabquet, one of the NAF's unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV, experienced a mishap after takeoff for a mission at a location near Romji village, about 50 kilometers from the base, and there were no casualties on board or on the ground. He said preliminary investigations has commenced to determine the course of the mishap. We'll return to security matters much later, but for now, let's talk about infrastructure development. Minister of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory has warned residents of the federal capital against distortion of the Abuja Master Plan. The minister gave the warning during the flag-off ceremony for the construction of the Mabushi bus terminal in Abuja, saying that the land initially designated for the bus terminal in the Central Business District, which was also meant to accommodate a train track, has been allocated to someone else.
Has been allocated out, CFO giving out. And so when we went there to start this flag off, that was last week Tuesday, after the Federal Council meeting, I had a text that I have taken somebody's land. Can And there was surprise. And so when I inquired, the Transport Secretariat had gone there to start moving at everybody so that we can have this flag off. And behold, we tried to find out that the place has been given out. CFO has been signed. Even consent judgment has been entered between.
Coming up, INEC holds retreat for Resident Electoral Commissioners ahead of Guber polls in Edo and Ondo states. Stay with us for details. If you've just joined us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. Vice President Kashim Shettima visits as death toll from Borno suicide attack rises to 32. Nigeria Customs intercept 844 rifles, rounds of ammunition. Court dismisses Nnamdi Kanu's 1 billion naira suit against the Nigerian government. And Mauritania's incumbent Ghazouani wins re-election with 56.12% of votes. The news continues in Rivers State, where the state's Independent Electoral Commission has announced October 5 for conduct of local government elections. The announcement was made by the state chairman, Adolfo Senebeli, during a stakeholders meeting in Port Harcourt on Monday. The governor inaugurated caretaker committees to run the affairs of the local government areas, while the ousted chairmen were still laying claims to their seats following the 6-month tenure elongation granted them by the Martins and Mawule-led lawmakers. Nebeli said that it is time to respond to the calls from stakeholders to the conduct of elections following the end of the tenure for the previous local government chairman and councillors. This development is coming amidst the ongoing local government succession crisis caused by the conflict between Governors Minalayi Fubara and the Martins and Mawule-led lawmakers.
The local government council elections on Saturday, the 5th of October 2024, in all the 23 local government areas listed in column 2 of the table and first state of this guideline, in which day one councillor shall be elected in each ward, 2, the chairman and vice chairman shall be elected for each of the local government areas. You are expected to play by the rules. The guidelines are set for the good of all. They are not intended or skewed against any party or individual. We all have a collective responsibility to consolidate our nascent democratic experience, respect all stakeholders, to act with professionalism, good ethics, and civility before, during, and after elections.
Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has noted the upcoming governorship elections in Edo and Ondo State alongside several pending by-elections as immediate task necessitating unwavering readiness. Yakubu stated this at the induction retreat for new resident electoral commissioners in Lagos on Monday. The INEC boss emphasized the retreat's role not only in inducting new appointees, but also in reviewing and enhancing INEC's operational capabilities. The INEC chairman stressed the importance of training and equipping the new regs with the knowledge and skills required to handle their responsibilities effectively. Let's head to the courts. Justice James Omotosho of a federal high court in Abuja on Monday dismissed the fundamental human rights suit filed by the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, against the federal government. Kanu in the suit is seeking 1 billion naira in damages from the Attorney General of the Federation and the Department of State Services for alleged rights violation. Kanu claimed that the DSS and its Director General violated his right to a fair hearing by allegedly preventing his lawyers from having unhindered interactions with him where he is being detained in preparation for his defense in his criminal trial. Omotosho while delivering a judgment on the suit held that Kanu failed to provide credible evidence to sustain his claims. Let's discuss this with the help of legal practitioner and public affairs analyst, Towo Oseruwoja. Towo, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Felicity.
All right. The judge has said that Kanu failed to provide credible evidence to sustain his claims to a breach of his fundamental, right to fair hearing. What has been the conversation in the legal circles about the credibility of this case before now?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Well, anybody who is sincere to what is happening in our security or law enforcement agency, their environment, will know that the allegation by Nnamdi Kalu is not far from the truth. Because as a practicing lawyer and someone who had experience and who had carried out a lot of fundamental right cases, you know that these are issues that occur in the law enforcement agencies domain. Even though the law made it clear, if you look at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, Section 36, which talks about the right to fair hearing, stipulates the grounds upon which the role lawyers play or the role a suspect, though is no longer a suspect, is a defendant in the matter, but is also entitled to the constitutional rights. The constitutional rights stipulate in the Constitution. And if you also look at Section 6 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, which is binding in these proceedings, they also stated conditions in which a suspect, or in this case now is a defendant, can make a statement or interact with his legal practitioner, with his lawyer, which is the legal practitioner. But these are things that are going and are of concern. If you look at the allegation contained in that process, it's something that should be worrisome to the Nigeria Justice Reform Commission, the Nigeria Bar Association, and also the Human Rights Commission, because these are things that are happening and nobody can deny it. Even suspects, relative to suspects, lawyers or defendants who are kept in security agencies. These are things that you can't find in developed countries, but they're happening in Nigeria. I will tell you for a fact that, do you know that when a lawyer goes to see a suspect or someone in custody, they put him in a state of incommunicado? So you ask the question, why deprive the lawyer of his phone? Why deprive people of their gadgets when you know if the process is new and genuine? But take it or leave it, the court is like a place where it's what you bring before them, they adjudicate in. If there is no evidence, it becomes a mere speculation. So until these are looked into, evidence to a point, because facts can only be fact until it's admitted to become evidence in court. And the court does not deal on speculation. They deal on evidence that has already been admitted.
I want to jump on your concern. I want to jump on your concern with the courts. There are those who say the case against Kanu has been dragging on and is eliciting comments that the court is being used as a tool by politicians to keep a hold on the man. Is a political solution a better pursuit for Kanu's team at this time? What are his chances, and are the concerns about the courts valid?
Well, first of all, let me answer the first leg of your question. If the court has been used as a tool or for holding Nnamdi Kalu, the court usually in these circumstances become the victim. Because if you look at the process the administration, the justice reform process of Nnamdi Kalu, you discover that it is even when the trial is on, the investigation is ongoing. So most times when you see all these cases that are reported in the Nigerian court, sometimes the courts are fed up because it is in the course of the trial, you discover that even the law enforcement agencies are sorting out evidence or bringing evidence or amending processes because they've not concluded investigation. Like let me give a good example now. In UK, you discover that it takes longer process for investigation, shorter process in the court hearing. But Nigeria is not so. The investigation is so short, then the judicial process becomes longer because, in the course of it, you see, they try to jump so many things together. So that is for that. Then for the political settlement of it, You see, there's something I want to draw Nigeria's attention to. It's not everything you look at it politically, because when you sort it politically, the aftermath becomes so devastating. Look at what happened in the Niger Delta. After the Niger Delta Commission that was set up as a result of the unrest of the youth or the self-acclaimed freedom fighters, can you tell me the tangible development that has brought? It made individuals billionaires are even more powerful than the government. So there are certain things that the government need to follow the due process of the law, so that anybody who knows such intention knows the consequences surrounding their actions. Because we cannot say political settlement, whereby we give criminals or political criminal elements leverages to trample or traumatize Nigerians in the course of fighting either their self-acclaimed freedom, their self-acclaimed political ideas and all those stuff. So that is just it. Then the last aspect of it is that the justice reform system needs to be looked into. It needs to be looked into, because one thing is that why people are craving for political solution is because of the faulty justice reform system, particularly at the point of investigation. The law enforcement agencies has a lot to do in this regard.
All right, so we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
You're welcome.
Members of the Economic Community of West African States have called for collective efforts to tackle the diverse challenges affecting the sub-region. This was during the opening ceremony of the first ordinary session of the 6th Legislature of the ECOWAS Parliament for 2024 in Abuja. Idong Joseph completes the report.
The session commenced with the ECOWAS anthem and then followed by the Nigerian national anthem. The Deputy Speaker of Nigeria's House of Representatives and other new members were sworn into the Parliament.
I will faithfully serve.
As the Speaker of the Parliament and other dignitaries turned to give their welcome remarks, they expressed worry over the multifaceted challenges of terrorism, banditry, human trafficking, and human rights abuses, among others, confronting the ECOWAS sub-region.
These problems are compounded by another phenomenon of staggering proportions in our region, namely the upsurge in the threat of terrorism, violent extremism, and organized crime. In addition to the various threats to peace and security, and the challenge related to poverty, our region is also facing the risk of integration.
They raised concern over the consequences Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, including their citizens, will face following their voluntary disengagement from the regional body.
This withdrawal will affect the traveling and immigration conditions of the citizens of these three countries. The citizens of these countries might not be able to reside or to create companies within the facilities that have been set up by ECOWAS.
They called for unity to tackle the challenges affecting the sub-region.
Current challenges confronting our sub-region cannot be decisively addressed unless there is unity of purpose, unless there is partnership, unless there is cooperation in our decision and our action.
They also appealed to member states to commit to implementing the resolutions of the Parliament for the good of the people. In Abuja for New Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Many thanks, Idong. Let's now go back to security matters. The past and present campaigns by some Nigerian public office holders on the need for citizens to bear arms for self-defense has continued to elicit strong reactions. While both past and present governors of Katsina State, northwest Nigeria, have thrown their support behind this call, some experts think this is an extreme measure. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu tells us more.
An allocation of 3.2 trillion naira, which is 12% of Nigeria's budget expenditure to defense and security in 2023, the nation continues to grapple with insecurity challenges. For Katsina State, located in Nigeria's northwestern region, which has continued to grapple with banditry and insecurity, the state government believes citizens must be allowed to defend themselves. This, however, continues to elicit mixed reactions.
The right of self-defense is a fundamental right. Now, if I know, and there are several people in Kaduna, there are several people in Plateau, there are a lot of people in Niger State that know for a fact that bandits will soon attack them. They know. It's common sense. They have attacked this village, they have attacked that village, so they may attack my village next. And I know that they will come and try to kill, maim their wives, their lives, and they should keep quiet. They should not get a gun. They should not get a gun. Explain how you tell somebody who knows there are people are coming to kill people. Let's be honest. Let's have sense, for crying out loud. That's not fair. You can't do your job. If the police can do their jobs, nobody will be talking about it. Clearly, they can't. They're overwhelmed.
We should come back to the former community engagements. In the northern part of the country before, when you come to a community, the man well will know that we have a visitor in the community. So that community policing, where people are watchdog, people are watching over the community, where people are trying to correct ills that are happening within the community, where people are trying to play their own role to make sure that they develop their own community. I think that is the best thing to do for now. But the issue of calling for everybody carrying arms, you know what it means in our country is going to be dangerous, and it will even fuel more crisis.
In the recent times, particularly in the Ogun State, Edo State, Delta State ASICs, we have heard of increase in murderous action of youths under the name of cultism. And that, of course, has been condemned widely across boards. I must tell you that anybody suggesting at this point in our history that people should be allowed to bear arms does not mean well for this country.
The governor of the state says that citizens have the numbers, zeal, and determination to protect themselves, and he's been supported by this lawyer.
There are several times you tell people, look at the bandits here, look at their location. They are one reason or another, they can't take over this matter. And you're telling people who now think that their only way is to get a gun. So that at least even if I die, let me die trying to preserve myself and my family. You tell them, no, it doesn't make sense. I support the right, because sadly, we shouldn't even be talking about it, let's be honest. But we are in this dire situation. And if I was overwhelmed, I will want to have any and everything necessary to protect myself. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. If I have a gun, doesn't mean I'm going to kill. The gun will never tell me, get up and kill. A car can kill people. But are you trying to say Nigerians should not have cars because cars kill people, cause accidents?
Ownership of guns in Nigeria is being regulated by the Firearms Control Act 2004. In Abuja for News Central, I'm Emmanuel Bagudu.
Still ahead, incumbent Mauritanian President Ghazouani wins re-election with 56.12% of vote. More after the break. Do stay with us. Up north, Mauritania's incumbent president, Mohamed Ghazouani, has comfortably won re-election, receiving 56.12% of vote in the first round of the presidential poll. This is according to results announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission chief on Monday. The victory gives the former army chief a second term as head of the vast desert country, seen as a rock of relative stability in Africa's volatile Sahel region, and set to become a gas producer. Ghazouani placed well ahead of his main rival, anti-slavery activist Biram Da Abid, who won 22.10% of the votes. Abid said on Sunday he would not recognize the results by the electoral body, which he accused of being manipulated by the government.
حصل على 554,000 و956 صوتا أي نسبة 56.12.
Let's join our business desk now for today's business stories.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Talking business tonight, Nigeria's capital importation skyrocketed in Q1 2024, reaching $3.37 billion, a massive 210% increase from the previous quarter, which was about $1.08 billion. This growth even surpasses the previous year, reflecting a 198% year-on-year jump. Portfolio investments led the surge, accounting for $2.07 billion, that's about 61.48%, followed by other investments, $1.18 billion, and foreign direct investments, $119.18 million. The banking sector was the biggest beneficiary, attracting $2.06 billion, that's about 61.24%. The United Kingdom emerged as the top source country, contributing $1.81 billion, that's 53.49%. Interestingly, only 3 states received capital inflows, namely Lagos, $2.78 billion, Abuja, $590 million, and Ekiti State, $0.01 million. Lagos dominated with a staggering 82.42% share, highlighting the need for broader investment distribution. In the meantime, the governor, the Central Bank of Nigeria, Yemi Cardoso, has raised an alarm over the increasing transaction volumes of non-bank financial institutions and other financial institutions, which he said pose a major financial system stability risk. Cardoso, who was represented by Abayomi Arugundade, the acting director of the Other Financial Institutions Department at the CBN, gave the warning at the 10th meeting of the College of Supervisors for Non-Bank Financial Institutions in Abuja on Monday. The CBN governor noted the rapid growth in fintech lending as a particular area of concern, noting that while the overall size of these loans may still be small compared to traditional banking, some jurisdictions have observed a worrying trend of increasing volumes. And now, Kenya and the European Union have signed a landmark economic partnership agreement that will provide duty-free and quota-free access for Kenyan exports to the EU market, while also gradually opening the Kenyan market to imports from the EU. Under the terms of the agreement, Kenya has committed to liberalizing the equivalent of 82.6% of imports from the EU by value. More than half of these imports are already imported duty-free, not only from the EU but from the entire world. The remainder will be progressively liberalized within 15 years, with an additional 2.9% liberalized within 25 years. Kenya has decided to exclude certain agricultural products, namely wines and spirits, chemicals, plastics, textiles, and vehicles from full liberalization. This gradual and managed approach is intended to ensure the Kenyan market is not flooded by EU products and to avoid significant budget revenue shocks. And that's all on business news. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Let's now go for some sports update.
Sports update brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
In sports, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, has announced that the country is interested in bidding to host the 2029 Africa Cup of Nations. The PM said that they have what it takes to return the AFCON to Ethiopia. He emphasized that they only need to add a few more stadiums to be able to host the tournament. In April this year, the Ethiopian Minister of Culture and Sports, Kejela Medasa, also made it public about plans to prepare the country to be able to bid and host either the AFCON 2029 or AFCON 2031. Ethiopia has hosted the AFCON before in 1962, 1968, and 1976. UEFA is investigating England midfielder Jude Bellingham for a gesture he made following his late equalizer against Slovakia in Sunday's Euro 2024 last 16 tie. The European football's governing body said it is looking into a potential violation of the basic rules of decent conduct by Bellingham. The midfielder was seen making a crotch-grabbing gesture towards the Slovakian bench after scoring an overhead kick in stoppage time. The Real Madrid player denied it was aimed at England's opponents, saying on social media that it was an inside joke directed towards some close friends. If found to have breached the rules, the 21-year-old could face a suspension, a fine, or both. England won the game 2-1 after extra time to set up a quarter-final meeting with Switzerland on Saturday. Third seed Aryna Sabalenka has withdrawn from Wimbledon with a shoulder injury. The 26-year-old Belarusian had to retire from a match at the Berlin Open last week with the problem and has not been able to recover in time. Sabalenka practiced early on Monday but left after about 15 minutes and appeared to be in pain. The Australian Open champion was due to play American Emina Bektas in the second match on court 1 on the opening day of the tournament. Sabalenka posted on Instagram that she was heartbroken to have to pull out. Russian Erika Andreeva, who lost to Britain's Sonny Cartel in the final round of qualifying, comes in as a lucky loser. Carlos Alcaraz opened his Wimbledon title defense with a hard-fought victory over Estonian qualifier Marc Lajal. The Spaniard won 7-6, 7-5, 6-2 to begin proceedings on center court. Alcaraz is attempting to win back-to-back major titles after triumphing at the French Open last month. The 21-year-old battled hard on his first appearance in the main draw of a Grand Slam. Alcaraz will face Australian Alexander Vukic in the second round. Vukic defeated Austrian Sebastian Ofner in the first round. And that's a wrap on Sport Updates. I am Udoka Njoko.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Up next is entertainment.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited. On Entertainment Tonight, Burna Boy's new single, Higher, sets a new opening day streaming record on Spotify Nigeria, garnering 530,792 streams in its first full day of release. This surpasses the previous record of 518,000 streams held by Wizkid's Diamond. Additionally, Higher achieved the highest open day streams for a solo song by an African artist, breaking Burna Boy's own record, set with his Grammy-nominated single, City Boy. Burna Boy's success with Higher underscores his status as a global superstar. He has consistently broken records, including becoming the first African artist to sell out the London Stadium twice and headline 2 stadium concerts in the UK. He also holds the record for the highest grossing concert by an African artist in the United States and the highest grossing tour by an African artist in Canada.
Count your blessing one by one. Sure bet, yeah. Time has come to lift up our voices.
Ghanaian-American singer-songwriter Ama Ray reached a major milestone with her sophomore album, Fountain Baby, surpassing 1 billion global streams. Released in 2003, the album has been widely acclaimed, earning a spot on Clash Music's Album of the Year list. Fountain Baby showcases Ama Ray's versatility, blending Afrobeat, pop, and R&B to create a unique sound. In an interview, Ama Ray expressed her desire for more creative control and a pop-oriented direction compared to her debut album, drawing inspiration from artists like Madonna, Janet Jackson, and Nelly. The album's success highlights the growing global popularity of Ghanaian and Afrobeats-influenced music and has significantly propelled Ama Ray's career. She's set to join Childish Gambino and Sabrina Carpenter for a series of arena shows later this year, further expanding her reach and solidifying her status as a rising global star. That's all on Entertainment News tonight.
Entertainment News in association with Glow Unlimited.
Moving away from entertainment, the hashtag NF. Moving away from entertainment. Moving away from entertainment, the hashtag NSA culture in CMLU is trending as a report alleging the sexual harassment of some female medical students in the College of Medicine, the University of Lagos, surfaced online, which sparked various conversations. A number of people took to social media to express their concern. Let's read some reactions on X. At J on Air. These stories about the culture in the College of Medicine, University of Lagos that allows men, students and lecturers thrive shouldn't be overlooked. What we need to do to secure justice for these women must be done. At Aproco Doctor, sexual assault should not be treated with kid gloves. Sexual assault has no place in a place of training for medical doctors. It goes against everything that we stand for. College of Medicine Unilag has to do better with these cases. At The Aria Speaks, victims are scared to speak up. It just shows how deeply the rot has seeped into CMUL. People who have been hurt so deeply are scared to name and shame the persons responsible because Unilag will rusticate them. This is why perps get away. This is why we should hashtag end SA culture in CMLU. At Ojuoko Isaac, they need to make an example of these boys. It's been going on in that compound for far too long. That's all on What's Trending.
And that's all tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Vice President Kashim Shettima visits as death toll from Borno suicide attack rises to 32. Nigeria Customs intercept 844 rifles, rounds of ammunition. Court dismisses Nnamdi Kanu's 1 billion naira suit against the Nigerian government. And we also brought you news that Mauritania's incumbent Ghazouani wins re-election with 56.12% of the vote. As always, we'd like to hear from you. Please send your eyewitness reports to the number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on socials at News Central TV, or you can watch live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.